Hello and welcome to Planet Pulse on Firstpost. The Earth is constantly changing, and in recent years, for the worse. Summers are getting hotter and winters harsher. Rising sea levels, floods, drought, wildfires and torrential rain have been disrupting lives across continents. The fight against climate change is needed now more than ever. On this show, we bring you all the top stories on the climate crisis, its causes, its brutal effects, and the warriors helping fight the menace. We begin in the United States of America. A deadly and disruptive winter storm has left a trail of destruction across many regions, claiming at least 7 lives and paralyzing daily life for millions. From Texas to Maine, extreme cold, heavy snowfall and power failures have stranded travelers, shut down airports and plunged entire communities into darkness. More than 500,000 homes lost power at the peak of the storm, while over 14,000 flights were cancelled in just one day. Meteorologists say this was not just a routine winter event. The scale, intensity and geographic spread of the storm are part of a growing pattern of climate-amplified extremes. Here's our report.
A blanket of snow, ice and extreme cold has transformed large parts of the United States into a zone of emergency. Over the weekend, a massive winter storm stretching nearly 2,000 miles battered the country, from the southern Rocky Mountains to New England. The National Weather Service says more than 180 million people across 37 states were affected. Some parts of the Northeast saw over 20 inches of snow in just 24 hours. In Central Park, snowfall exceeded 11 inches, while record lows were recorded near the Canadian border, including temperatures plunging to minus 45 degrees Celsius in upstate New York. At least 70 deaths have been linked to the extreme storm, from hypothermia and road accidents to exposure in sub-zero conditions. Louisiana, Tennessee, Texas, New York and Pennsylvania are among the hardest hit states. In Nashville, Tennessee, the worst affected state for power outages, more than 250,000 homes were left without electricity. The storm also brought America's air travel system to a near standstill. More than 14,500 flights were cancelled in a single day, with thousands more delayed, disrupting travel for millions and straining an already fragile infrastructure.
We don't know if we're going to make it or not, so we've been here since Sunday about 7 p.m., so we'll find out if we'll make it today or not.
Canada was not spared. Toronto Pearson Airport recorded 18 inches of snow, a new record, while transport was disrupted and schools were closed across Ontario and Quebec. While winter storms are not new, climate scientists say events like this are becoming more extreme and more unpredictable. As the Arctic warms faster than the rest of the planet, the temperature difference that keeps polar air locked in place is weakening. The result? Deep freezes that can push far south, last longer, and hit with greater intensity. Experts warn that a warming world does not mean the end of cold, but rather the rise of weather extremes at both ends of the scale. Extreme heat, extreme cold, and more frequent disasters that test power grids, transport systems, and emergency services.
This is certainly a rare storm in that it does have a very big scope. We are talking about this storm system taking up a good swath of the country, millions of Americans feeling the winter chill. It's rare, but not necessarily.
The National Weather Service says relief may be short-lived. Another significant winter storm could hit the eastern United States this weekend, according to the National Weather Service, which says confidence in coastal impacts is increasing. The storm could bring wintry conditions to parts of the East Coast from Friday night through Sunday night.
This is certainly the coldest weather we've seen, the coldest winter storm we've seen in years. And truly, New York State is locked into a grip here. An Arctic siege has taken over our state and many other states across the nation. And the snowstorm we've been expecting is now underway, but it is brutal, it is bone-chilling, and it is dangerous.
The storm system is forecast to rapidly intensify as it moves into the Atlantic on Saturday, raising the risk of a bomb cyclone, a powerful weather event capable of causing significant disruption. A bomb cyclone, also known as a weather bomb, occurs when a storm undergoes explosive cyclogenesis, with air pressure dropping by at least 24 millibars within 24 hours. This rapid strengthening can dramatically increase the storm's intensity in a short span of time. Such systems are known for producing very strong winds, heavy snowfall, blizzard-like conditions. For communities still digging out, the message is clear. These events are no longer rare. And without stronger climate action, from cutting emissions to investing in resilient infrastructure, the cost in lives, livelihoods, and economic damage will continue to rise. What was once called extreme weather is fast becoming the new normal. And this storm is another stark reminder that the climate crisis is not a future threat. It is unfolding now.
Our next story is from Australia. The world feels out of sync. One half is freezing. The other is on fire. While cities in the north dig out from snow and ice, towns in the south are breaking heat records and battling wildfires. It looks chaotic. It feels unnatural. But part of this dramatic contrast is written into the planet itself. The Earth is tilted. It always has been. That tilt decides who gets summer and who gets winter. It controls the length of days, the angle of sunlight, the amount of heat each hemisphere receives. Yet today, these natural differences are being pushed to dangerous extremes. And that's where the real story begins. More on that in our next report.
Winter is freezing the north. Summer is scorching the south. And the planet is sending a loud, uncomfortable message. While much of the northern hemisphere struggles through brutal cold waves and snowstorms, southeastern Australia is burning under one of its worst heat waves in years. Two worlds, one planet, both in trouble. Since late January, large parts of Victoria, New South Wales and South Australia have been trapped under relentless heat. Temperatures have climbed close to 50 degrees Celsius in several towns. The heat feels endless, the air feels heavy, and the nights bring little relief.
I'm drinking a lot of water, standing by these misting fans, and trying to have some of the ice-cold beverages they have here.
But because of the unforgiving heat, bushfires are spreading fast. Fire crews are battling multiple major blazes across rural Victoria. Entire towns have been forced to evacuate.
If you're in a bushfire-prone area, a bushland area of Victoria, our strongest advice is leave now, if you haven't left already. If you don't leave now, it could result in your life being lost.
Australia's weather agency says this is the worst heat Victoria has seen in 16 years. Comparable to the deadly summers of 1939 and 2009. More than 20 towns broke long-term temperature records in a single day. But scientists say this heat is not random. A global climate study found the early January heatwave was made 5 times more likely by human-driven climate change. It also added about 1.6 degrees to already extreme temperatures. Heat is now Australia's deadliest natural disaster. It kills more people than floods, storms and bushfires combined. And as humidity rises, some areas are nearing the limits of what the human body can survive.
I'd say this is an opportunity for me to emphasise that people need to listen to the advice and as it comes through. If you're asked to leave your property, please do so.
Now look north. The United States is frozen. A massive winter storm brought snow and ice from the southwest to New England. India's north is also shivering. New Delhi touched 3 degrees Celsius. Thick fog, frost on roads, cold wave alerts across Punjab, Haryana and Uttar Pradesh. So why is the world split like this? Part of the answer is simple. Earth is tilted. When the south leans toward the sun, it gets summer. When the north leans away, it gets winter. That's normal. That's always been true. What's new is the intensity. Climate change is stretching the system. A warmer planet is disturbing wind patterns. It weakens the jet stream. It destabilizes the polar vortex. It traps heat over places like Australia and drags Arctic air deep into warmer regions. The result is not balance, it is contrast. And as fires rage in Australia and ice storms hit the north, one reality is becoming impossible to ignore. The planet isn't just warming, it's swinging, hard, and faster than we are ready for.
And now a final story. The United Nations is sounding a global alarm. It is not over a crisis of the future, but one it says is already here. The UN scientists warn the world has entered an era of global water bankruptcy, a point where water systems are so depleted they may never recover. Over 4 billion people now face severe water scarcity for at least 1 month every year, and 3/4 of the world's population now lives in water-insecure countries. The warning comes just ahead of the 2026 UN Water Conference, and it signals a shift from temporary shortages to systematic failure. Here's our report.
The United Nations says the world is no longer dealing with isolated water shortages. What it's facing now is something far more serious. UN researchers warn many regions are already living beyond what their water systems can sustain. According to a new report from the UN University Institute for Water, Environment and Health, humanity has crossed into what scientists call global water bankruptcy, a condition where water use consistently exceeds what nature can replace, and where damage to rivers, aquifers, and wetlands is becoming irreversible. The numbers are stark. About 4 billion people experience severe water scarcity for at least 1 month every year. 75% of the global population lives in countries classified as water insecure or critically water insecure. And more than half of the world's large lakes have shrunk since the early 1990s, and emergency measures are becoming routine. Groundwater depletion is one of the clearest warning signs. UN researchers say aquifers are being drained faster than they can recharge. As a result, land is sinking in cities across the world. Mexico City is subsiding by nearly 25 centimeters a year. Jakarta, Bangkok, and Tehran face similar risks. Once aquifers collapse, they cannot be restored. Agriculture sits at the center of the crisis. Farming accounts for roughly 70% of all global freshwater use. But more than half of global food production now comes from regions where water storage is declining or unstable. UN experts warn water bankruptcy in major agricultural regions threatens global food supplies, prices, and political stability. Climate change is accelerating the damage. Rising temperatures increase water demand. Rainfall is becoming more erratic, and emergency measures are becoming routine.
Severe restrictions, emergency drilling, tanker supplies and crisis pricing have helped some cities narrowly avoid day zero, but the underlying water systems remain degraded, especially in poorer neighbourhoods.
Glaciers that once acted as natural water reserves have lost over 30% of their mass since 1970. That loss threatens millions who rely on glacier-fed rivers. Natural water buffers are also disappearing. The report says wetlands covering an area roughly the size of the European Union have vanished over the past 5 decades. Wetlands store water, reduce floods, and filter pollution. Their loss makes droughts harsher and floods more destructive. The economic impact is already being felt. The UN estimates global losses from droughts exceed $300 billion annually. Ecosystem degradation adds another $5 trillion annually in lost services. And the cost isn't evenly shared.
The cost of water bankruptcy falls disproportionately on those who can least afford it.
UN officials warn water bankruptcy is now a security issue. Conflicts linked to water have surged sharply since 2010. Major rivers, including the Colorado in the US and the Indus in South Asia, are increasingly failing to reach the sea. Cities from Chennai to Cape Town have faced so-called day zero scenarios. The report calls for what it describes as bankruptcy-style management. That means accepting that past water baselines are gone, cutting water use to match today's reality, protecting remaining natural water systems, and ensuring shortages do not fall hardest on vulnerable communities. UN scientists say the choice is now unavoidable. Continue spending water as if nature offers unlimited credit. Or redesign economies, food systems, and cities to live within shrinking limits. Because once water systems collapse, there may be no recovery left to manage.
That's it on Planet Pulse today. We will see you again next week. Thanks for watching.
The world doesn't fit in boxes, so why should your news? From battlefields to negotiation tables, from internet outrage to real-world injustice. The conversations everyone is having and the ones they're avoiding. It's the same show, but this new year, Firstpost America gets a new look. I'm Kerry Johnston, and this is Firstpost America.
Hello and welcome to Planet Pulse on Firstpost. The Earth is constantly changing.